What is going on, everyone? Xavier here, and today I'm back with another Make Academy lesson for you guys. If you're just joining us, I'm documenting my journey from complete beginner to running my own AI automation agency. I'm following a 3-phase plan to get me there, but it all starts with mastering workflow automation. That's why we're speeding through these lessons. We're almost done with the basics section. We just learned about a couple of useful math functions and how to format numbers. Today, I'm covering the final assessment for the Transforming Data Using Functions course, and then I'll be introducing the first unit of the next course in this section. If you want the full breakdown of my business plan, I'll put that video up there as well as in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into today's lessons. All right, so here we are back in the Academy, Transforming Data Using Functions course, final assessment. 10 questions long, we only need 7 to pass. So let's see if we can get back-to-back hundreds. All right, question 1. What can you achieve with format number function in Make? Change the way a number is displayed? Yeah. Display commas in the value of a number? Sure. Display a number to decimal places? Yeah, all that. Sweet. Which of the following are function types? Function types, let's see. Date time functions, math functions, and text and binary functions. Sweet. Oh, not sweet. I missed one. General functions. Damn it. All right, don't forget about general functions. Which function could you use to transform the date? Let's see, format date now, and then it looks like day, month, year. So C has dashes and A has dots, which is what they have here. So I believe it's A. Cool. How would you map the average function to calculate the average of numbers 176 and 368. We just need to make sure that there is a semicolon in between the numbers. That looks like C. B has this semicolon in front of average, which is wrong. And A has a colon, so I think C. Cool. When should you consider the now variable? When you want to get the current date and time of GMT, when you want Make to tell you what to do now, or when you don't want the date in the raw format. So I believe it's gonna be A, when you want to get the current date and time of GMT. Cool. What would you manually type when mapping if you wanted the lower function to pop up on its own? Lower with the open parentheses and no space. Nice. Question 7. Which function would you use to make sure your text string looks like the one below? Okay, so it looks like they're capitalizing everything. Okay, so I know one capitalizes the first letter. I think that's capitalized, so maybe upper to make everything uppercase. Let's see. Cool. What statement best describes functions within Make? Transforming data from a numerical to a text data type, transforming data so every type is the same, or transforming data so it's easier to read and understand. I would say easier to read and understand. Cool. Question 9. Which function would you use to make sure your text string looks like the one below? This looks like start case because every first letter is capitalized, so I'm gonna say start case. Easy. Last question. How would you format the number 210,000 to appear as this? Okay, so we have a comma at the beginning and we have a period for the decimal separator, and then we have 2 decimal places. So we would put format number, this number, which is the same everywhere, and then since there's 2 decimal places, the first number after that number will be a 2, which there's only one answer like that, which is B. And then in the next decimal, or after the next semicolon, we would put a period because it's the decimal separator, and then after the last semicolon we would put a comma for the thousand separator, which that looks like this one here. So I'm gonna guess B. Nice. Awesome. We only missed one question, which that's on me. I guess I was kind of going a little too fast. I didn't read general functions, or else I would have probably put that one in there. But only one we missed is that one, which is the type of functions. Just remember that there are general functions. So pretty easy test. So yeah, now we know how to use functions for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's more we can do with functions. Also, we learned a little bit about functions that work with arrays. We haven't even learned about arrays yet. or in depth about arrays yet, so still plenty to learn about with functions, but we have a basic understanding of it now. So I want to mark this task as complete, and now we can go back to the dashboard. I already have our next course pulled up in the basics section, which is going to be an introduction to aggregators. So I'm going to open up this course and just click resume. Looks like a pretty short course this time around. There's only 3 units. I'm just gonna go through this introduction and then the first unit, which is introducing aggregators, and then we'll call it a day. So let's get right into this introduction. Welcome to an introduction to aggregators in Make Basics, where you will explore the following topics: an introduction to aggregators, numeric aggregators, and text aggregators. Again, this is just standard stuff, so I'm not gonna read it. Mark this task as complete, and we can get right into the first unit. So, unit introduction. Welcome to course 4, an introduction to aggregators within Make Basics. In this unit, you will learn what is aggregation and why are aggregators useful. Click next. What is an aggregator? Let's first understand what aggregation is. Put simply, aggregation is the process of combining multiple values into a single value. Think of this as building a wall. You have a stack of bricks and you combine them together to build a wall. Therefore, the aggregation of bricks makes a wall. Within Make, there are several tools that can be used which will perform aggregation. These are aggregators. Similar to combining bricks, the aggregator in Make takes items from multiple bundles of the same structure, then combines items to a new single bundle. Yeah, so we learned a little bit about aggregators, brings things together from an individual thing to a combination of elements, right? So I'm gonna click next. What are aggregators doing? To dive a bit deeper, aggregators do 2 things: mapping and reduction. Mapping in the context of aggregation is selecting the item that you want to use from your source. Reduction is combining and then transforming the selected items into a new item. Let's revisit the wall example for an overview of this. You have multiple pallets of bricks delivered, but some of these have been broken during transport. Selecting the bricks that were not broken that will be used in construction of the wall is mapping. The reduction is then assembling the wall with cement. Okay, so mapping, selecting items that we want to use from the source, and reduction, which is combining and then transforming into a new item. Click next. Why are aggregators useful? Aggregation is not just about combining data and resources, but using the aggregated information to influence outcomes. For example, you have a box of colored pencils. You can use an aggregator to group the pencils by color, so you can see how many red, green, purple, and blue pencils you have. This helps you to understand the bag of pencils better and see if there are any patterns or trends. For example, I have 1 red, 1 blue, 3 green, and 5 purple. The conclusions you can draw with this information are: you have 10 pencils in total, you use red and blue the most, buy more of these, and you do not need to buy any purple. Let's look at what aggregators look like in Make and where they can be used. Click next. Aggregators within Make. There are multiple types of aggregators located within Make. Both will perform the same function of aggregation, which is merging bundles of data into a single bundle, but with different options. These can be found under the Tools and Flow Controls sections within Make. Click each image to learn more. So we have this tool icon, Tools Aggregator. There are 3 aggregator types located in Tools: table, text, and numeric aggregators. For example, with the numeric aggregator, you can perform the functions average, sum, count, max, and minimum value. Thinking back to the brick wall example from earlier, you could use the sum numeric aggregator function. If each brick weighs 2 kilograms and 14 bricks were used, then the aggregated sum of the wall would be 28 kilograms. That's a little confusing. Maybe they'll go more into it a little bit. Then we have flow controls. Array aggregator. The array aggregator is a really powerful tool that allows you to take fields from multiple bundles and aggregate them into a single array. The array aggregator also allows you to customize the output bundle of information using the fields you select. The example here shows 2 separate bundles of information from 2 modules. The first module contains products at a library, and the other contains users. The array aggregator includes magazines but omits books in the first module and includes users in the second one. Okay, so I guess this is showing that we can combine information, different bundles of information from different modules in a single array aggregator. We can click next. Use cases for aggregators using grouping. Aggregators do not necessarily need to output just a single array. You can group your output into different bundles based on a specific value to help you analyze and process your data. This is known as grouping. Let's have a look at a practical use case where aggregators are essential. Pierre is a plumber who lists all of the jobs he does by date, job type, revenue, and hours worked. Each of these data-driven aggregations give Pierre a better understanding of how his business is performing and make data-driven decisions about which types of jobs he can focus on, which customers to prioritize, and how to better plan his schedule and pricing strategy. So we can see his list here, the date, job type, revenue, hours worked, and customer name. And he wants to group these to make data-driven decisions. So we have a couple of boxes we can click here. I'm gonna click on job type. Job type. Pierre uses an aggregator to calculate the total revenue earned for each job type. For example, boiler repair, installation, or inspection. This gives him an idea of which types of jobs are the most profitable for his business based on the amount earned from each job type and the frequency. Yeah, I can see that. Then we got revenue by customer. Pierre is able to calculate the total revenue earned from each customer over the past month. This will give him an idea of which customers are generating the most revenue for his business. All right, so we're just grouping. Then we have hours worked by job type. Pierre can calculate the average number of hours spent on each type of job. This will help him estimate how long it will take to complete similar jobs in the future and better plan his schedule. Okay, yeah, no, all of this stuff would be super helpful. And then we have jobs done per day. Pierre calculates the average amount of jobs he does within a day. This allows him to identify when his busiest and therefore most profitable days are. Yeah, we're grouping. We can group different information together from different modules. That's what we're doing here. I'm gonna click next. Exploring aggregators further in this course. You now have a very basic overview of what an aggregator can do, as well as its benefits and where the tools are located within Make. But in order to understand this fully, let's see aggregators within Make in action. Over the next 2 units, you will create 2 separate scenarios, which will explore the text and numeric aggregators. Array aggregators will be covered in Make Intermediate. The purpose of these scenarios is to introduce aggregators and to build on the knowledge you have accumulated so far within Make Basics. So you will combine aggregation with some functions used so far. Great, click next. And that's it, that's the end of the unit. So a quick reminder, an aggregator will combine several bundles into a single bundle. Make offers multiple aggregator types. The most common ones are array, text, and numeric, and aggregation is useful for controlling, analyzing, and combining data. Cool, yeah, so we know how to get information, we know how to read the information, we know how to change the information. Now we gotta know how to group and control the information. And that's what we're doing with aggregation, right? So that's gonna be it for this video. Next video, we're gonna be going into units. We can probably do unit 2 and 3 in the next video. If we're lucky, I think they might be a little shorter. That, or we'll just do unit 2 and then unit 3 and then the end of course assessment and the following videos. There's no rush, there's no deadline. I mean, we're just learning information, taking it one day at a time, right? So yeah, if you found any of this stuff interesting or you'd like to see more, please feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts, or hit that subscribe button. That's gonna be it for me. I hope you guys are all doing well, and see you in the next one.